Cool.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the pod by Shiptember and delighted to welcome on an absolute legend, Brian Sum. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
So, as we were just speaking about, we spoke on the Learn Squared podcast, which happened an unspecified time, but we think it was a couple of years ago. And incredible time chatting with you then. And obviously, on the Shiptember side, you've participated a few times over the years, and the work that you do is incredible, as many listeners who are listening in will know. But for those who are completely new, if you wouldn't mind just giving a quick intro to yourself and what you do, please.
Yeah, I'm a concept artist and kind of like hard surface designer in the film and games industry. I have, yeah, roughly over maybe 20 years experience now. And I've been able to kind of start off as a generalist in concept design, but over the years I've been kind of steering more towards my passion for hard surface architecture and mech design, and so I've been able to very fortunately been able to earn a living doing sci-fi stuff, which I love doing. So
Perfect. I like the way you explain that. A lot of people that I'm speaking to recently, and I'm kind of noticing it with my own journey as well, like the different hats that you wear just keep growing, and each one's like a job title unto itself. But the way you just summarize it there, like just being able to make sci-fi stuff, like is that the way you want it to be now? Like, is that the kind of like the ultimate job title for you?
yeah, I think I guess I'm able to kind of have the privilege of getting projects that I enjoy doing, and over the years you kind of figure out what you really enjoy doing aside from the job title, which is really fun. But there's also those avenues where you can kind of steer more towards the stuff that you enjoy doing. And for me, it's really kind of like the sci-fi theme,
Mm.
and just because I guess I get the opportunity to be a product designer more, it's more like the design side, the industrial side of things, that industrial design side of things that I really enjoy doing. So
Is that something that was kind of like always a thing that you enjoyed doing? Was that always like kind of like the ulterior motive, like just give me a chance to just work in these kind of zones, in these pockets?
yeah, I guess, I mean, when you're starting out younger, you're still trying to discover yourself and find what you do like. And for me, it was not always sci-fi. I mean, when I think back on it, I do realize now that I loved, I grew up watching Transformers, uh, Evangelion, Akira, and I really love those things. But I also enjoyed like art from like Frank Frazetta, and I was inspired by like Street Fighter as well. So I've gone through those stages where I'd be drawing like a lot of Street Fighter characters, like musculature, and I really love doing that. But over the years, I've just kind of found out that yeah,
Yeah.
it's evolved into kind of hard surface design. So
Just going because you kind of triggered me a little bit in a good way when you mentioned Transformers. I just remember being blown away when I saw that as a kid and just being mesmerized. But just like going back to that kind of like state, I guess you call it state, like that time when you were a child and all that influence, it's easy to look back and think, oh yeah, that's what inspired me. That's what kind of led me on that kind of pathway. But did you know at that time, like what you were experiencing was inspiration, or were you kind of like just consuming all these things? Like, do you remember kind of like what state that was, if that makes sense?
generally, yeah, I do know because yeah, you have that excitement,
Yeah.
when you see something, you're inspired, and I know that it's just the stuff I drew as a kid. y- I drew it for a reason, right? Because I was really inspired by it. But yeah, it wasn't always hard surface or mech design. I mean, I think there was just a whole wide, broader range of stuff,
Yes.
and it has just kind of led me down this path eventually. And Sid Mead is also one of my favorite designers of all time. So I mean, he was a yeah huge inspiration growing up.
And just another quick question on Transformers, a little bit of a geek out. Was there Was there anything specific about Transformers that you liked?
Um, as a kid, just the fact that they were transforming into cars
Yeah.
and vehicles and then robots, it is just yeah. And I remember just how cool it was that it can become something else, and just the characters. You know, looking back, it does look a little bit silly as an adult, but I do remember actually even watching the Transformers card like animated movie, the first animated movie,
Uh-huh.
just um the level of quality had gone better in the movie, and I instantly recognized how much better, and I was like really impressed when I watched the movie compared to the
Uh,
Saturday morning cartoon, and yeah, super cool.
I,
So
I, yeah, I remember revisiting it. Like in my brain, there's two things I remember those specifically was just the glow and the color of the Energon cubes, and just the sound effects. Obviously, like what
yeah.
that implied, just the sound. I
Yeah,
mean, when you look back at it, it's just so simple, and
yeah.
it is actually like very cartoony, and you could say cheesy, but it just meant like it kind of solved the problem of not being able to have intricate transformations animations. It just
Yeah.
told you it's actually a great storytelling mechanism. But nevertheless, when I look back, I'm thinking I do not, or I refuse to accept that the animations were that simple. In my brain, they were very more complicated than the Michael Bay ones, for example.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think
And
that's the
and, and
joy of
it,
like what the gaps you fill in.
yeah, and even as a kid, you kind of you know, some of the stuff may not make sense. Like Megatron was a gun, and all of a sudden it needed to
Yeah,
shrink into a tiny gun, and needed to be held by one of the other Decepticons to be able to shoot.
that was so
It just didn't make
lame.
sense. It's just silly,
Yeah,
but you don't care, right? It's still super cool as a kid. So
oh, brilliant, exactly.
yeah.
And did you have a favorite Transformer, or was like a certain kind of like click?
Yeah, I mean, Optimus was always a favorite of mine, and I'm sure everybody's. I did like the Soundwave and the cassettes. Those were really
Yeah.
cool, like
Oh, sick.
Razorbeak and like
Yes.
Rumble. Like, oh, I thought that was so
Yes.
cool.
Yeah. Um. Any others? Any other kind of like things at that time? Again, I just when you just mentioned that, I remember the same. Like I think I don't know what age I was. I just remember explicitly drawing in class, and it was either characters, monsters. It was always kind of like your own spin on something that you envisaged. Um. But did you was that like kind of the genesis of your creative journey, like that kind of era, or did it start before that, or maybe even properly afterwards?
Well, I was really young. I remember picking up pencil in kindergarten when I was like 4, and drawing from there. But yeah, it was really the era of Saturday morning cartoons in the mid '80s that I really just started, you know, consuming all the cartoons and just drawing based off of everything that I watched. So it was mostly Transformers, but there was a little bit of maybe Ghostbusters back
Of
then, and
course, yes.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, so and
Another one.
Macross anime. I mean, yeah, for sure, that was yeah really cool stuff.
Again, another a few others that are just yeah, absolutely inspired by. I mean, Turtles was I think the first thing I ever binged on as a kid. Like that's what I ever was obsessed about. Um, Even Ghostbusters and just those two specifically. Obviously, with Transformers, there's a kind of running theme. Like they all have very cool props, a la, like hard surface elements or things to solve that you can kind of do, and you can see them as like you just understand like the purpose of them and stuff. Um, when did you? When did it kind of turn into an understanding of what hard surface is for you? Like when did that kind of that hard surface journey start?
Well, as a kid, you never really think of that, like classify it as like I like hard surfaces. I
Yeah.
mean, that wasn't even a thing, right? I just liked
Yes.
just drawing robots and you know, mechanical stuff. But I never really categorized it or broke it down in any way. Just drew what I enjoyed drawing. So it's uh but I do as I got into it as a teenager, I did realize I liked car design, but I also liked rendering at that
Mm.
age. And that was before computers, like the advent of like Photoshop and all that. So I got my hands on an airbrush and just started just mimicking the reflective surfaces and metallic surfaces kind of thing.
Oh,
The fact
nice.
that I could mimic it was really satisfying at the time. But you know, with airbrush, you need to use like stencils and all that, and it got really complicated now that you think about it, right? Like there's no need to do that anymore. So
Yeah. Have you airbrushed recently? Like, is that long gone now, or do you still kind of bring up now and again?
no, yeah, it's long gone. Like that compressor is gone, that airbrush
Oh
is
wow.
gone. I mean, it's uh, you just can do everything on the computer now, and
Yes.
so I do want to maybe get back into the more like you know, physical kind
Uh
of
huh.
uh pen and sketchbook kind of thing, but probably not the airbrush. I don't know. Maybe one day, but mostly yeah, I'll probably really want to get back into like physical drawing and you know, all that.
Do you? That kind of partially answers my question. Do you miss that, like the physical side and
Yeah,
the traditional medium?
yeah, I do. I just maybe, and partially it's just laziness, I guess. Like
Uh
I
huh.
just like to get ideas out faster on like say an iPad and or the PC. But I do miss the tactile feel of like markers and pen sketching as well. Yeah, I gotta get back on there.
I've started to unearth some of the. Like, I got markers at 20 years old somehow, and they still work. So either that's shame on me for not using them too much and letting them, like not run out, but they still work. And
Yeah.
yeah, slowly over the last like I think 12 months, finding myself more and more just ideating with traditional medium. And there's definitely like the AI shadow of AI that's probably like influencing that, like kind of like thinking there's no fun now. Let's kind of do stuff that will kind of was fun. And I think that's more like psychological. And the two other people that we're speaking to, like, is kind of the same kind of experience for them as well. But maybe it's also the fact that like there's always these cycles, right? Like you do something for a while and think, I've stopped doing that. Let's see if I enjoy that again. Then you kind of realize how fun it is. But what I have noticed is a kind of like distinct experience between creating without digital or with technology versus with that as well. And you kind of get different results. Do you find that as well?
Um, yeah, in terms of like I guess digital drawing versus like pen on sketchbook kind of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, it has a different result, but surprisingly, the like I draw on the Procreate and it can mimic a lot of
Ah,
the the pen and paper. So there's a lot of different pen types that can mimic the real world, but there's something about the natural, just just the pure fact of using markers and the bleed and the pen itself bleeding on the paper that you get this, yeah, there's just how it is, right? And there's that factor in there that gives it that charm, right? That characteristic which is more real, I would say.
uh-huh.
Instead of something trying to mimic it. But yeah, I think there's that level of charm that I think is still special, for sure.
And in terms of like your digital tools, what is your go-to setup?
My digital tools, like I mentioned, the Procreate on the iPad,
Uh-huh.
just the sheer simplicity and level of convenience with it. Just you can carry it everywhere where you go. I mean, most of the time I'm drawing at home, but the fact that I can bring it somewhere, I think is also appealing as well.
Mm.
I lately I found something on Amazon where it's like a little keyboard for shortcuts so that I can use with Procreate so that I don't have to, you know, find the menu and everything. And so just trying to I'm playing around with that just to speed up the process a bit. I'm enjoying it. It's It's pretty good, but not necessary by all means. But yeah, it's fun.
So it's primarily iPad is your kind of like main. Obviously, there's other stuff that you'll be using, but iPads are kind of like your main device now.
For quick sketches,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think I find it for Procreate, it's the most simple for me, and just keeping things simple. And then once I'm done with the sketch, I would upload it and then do finishing touch-up work in Photoshop, on the PC setup, which is currently like a Cintiq.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Do you customize the iPad setup a little bit, as in like you get the paper feel kind of screen protector and the different kind of nibs? Do you go that deep, or you just keep it all
No,
stock?
it's very, very simple.
Mm.
I mean, I experiment with different nibs, but for the most part, it's just a very basic setup. No fancy canvas or anything like that. But that's not to say that I might not change the different approach. But
Yeah.
so far, I'm happy with. I'm kind of like stuck in a routine where I'm happy with this, and then I don't
Yes.
really think too much about it. All this to say is that I have less time to experiment, which I should be doing more of.
Mm.
But when, during kind of like work, you just kind of have
Yeah.
little time to experiment. So it's really just sticking with what I'm comfortable with lately.
That's a very interesting topic, and I guess part of creativity that is very little spoken about, even though it's kind of like what everyone kind of does, whether passively or actively, but like experimentation, because that's where you kind of like you figure out new techniques or new solutions. But it's interesting you mentioned that like you're not able to. Is that more in the sense of just not having the opportunity to explore or try and explore, or are there certain things that you really want to test out and not able to?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with the work schedule, I think your time is limited because you have to kind of deliver, and so I wish I had more time to experiment. Um, I mean, that's really on me to really just designate maybe some time to yeah, try different things more.
Uh-huh.
But as we mentioned before, with two kids and everything, it's just harder to juggle time
Yeah.
these days. But I definitely, yeah, need to experiment more. I mean, I do want to kind of learn some new tool sets as well. But it's hard because sometimes you really need to designate an allotment of time to really get into the groove of things. And I find that the more I try different things, I'm just all over the place. I don't really get a chance to kind of get in the zone. So I'm just dabbling, which is good and all, but I wish I had more time to just focus
Mm,
and really kind of get in the zone more.
interesting. Um, what tools did you want to explore?
Well, 3D, I mean, 3D tools. I also use 3D Coat for the 3D work.
Uh-huh.
I've been playing around with Plasticity, which is a CAD software, which is
Mm,
really really cool. And really, I've been trying to force myself to get better at ZBrush. Like I use it here and there, but um they're coming out with a new tools. I guess they're revamping their menu, so hopefully that's gonna sell
oh,
me
really?
better on
Okay.
getting into it more, but making it more user friendly.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so far I'm using 3D Coat for the voxel sculpting, and what else? Yeah, Blender. It just, yes, a lot of
Yeah.
stuff like Unreal, all those things, right? It's yeah, playing around with all of them. But I find that if I don't use certain tools, you just kind of forget some of
Yes.
the tool set. So you really have to kind of brush up on it again if you're not using it a lot. So yeah.
So I have an interesting take on that. Like sometimes I have a similar experience, and that's kind of one of the curse of like either having access to so many tools or using so many tools is when you don't use it, you either kind of get a bit rusty or you kind of forget it, and then you kind of have to relearn it again. But then sometimes that might imply that maybe you kind of didn't need it because the brain's always looking at efficiency, right? So it kind of just puts all the CPU power that it has onto the kind of tools that you use. So then it kind of like sometimes I look at it as where like, well, maybe you don't kind of need it. Do you kind of look at things that way too?
Well, so far the ones that I am using, I do see value in it.
Uh-huh.
In terms of, well, for me, it's, like a lot of the 2D work that I do, it's the majority of my work, but I do see value in working in 3D as well.
Yeah.
In terms of maybe getting like just a better result in terms of a design and being able to flesh out, say like a mech design. Maybe blocking it out in 3D would help as well, and especially if you're fast enough at doing it, you can actually kind of get some much kind of better looking results, especially if you have a nice render, get different angles and all that. So there is the benefit, but the ones that I have not touched in a while, yeah, maybe
Mm.
they're less important in my workflow.
And on the flip side, is there like, and I guess Procreate might be the one, but is there kind of like a tool or few that if they just suddenly stop working, it would just derail the whole operation for you?
Yeah, yeah, right. I think Procreate, Photoshop. Although Photoshop, I mean, there's some other decent ones out there right now. Like
Uh-huh.
Clip Studio is quite
Very
good.
powerful. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think there's these there's like an anti-Photoshop or anti-Adobe
Yeah.
movement happening
Yeah.
right now because of their insane subscription prices. So yeah, people are looking at other options as well. So yeah, it's good to have competition. So yeah, I'm
I
always up,
totally agree.
yeah, I'm always up
Yeah.
for looking at new products as well. So
I mean, I know it's like a kind of a different kind of like realm because it's, I guess, making products, and that's something that you're very familiar with too, which we'll definitely get to soon. And developing software for users and all that kind of good stuff. But like with artists, right? Like, imagine if there was only a handful of artists to get inspiration from, or even to keep you kind of like competitive with and what have you. We have thousands, I'd say maybe even a million or so, maybe even more. There's a richness to the volume of people that kind of do stuff, and I think that could also maybe apply to like kind of tools as well. Like the more, I mean, like look at pens for example. There's so many different brands, different types, different kind of illustration methods, and it's not even about like there's a winner. It's just a question of what kind of fits your groove and what you're looking for. And yeah, I concur. Like if there was more of that in software, that'd be a lot better. But I guess software is a lot of a harder thing to make versus putting lead in some wood. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it could be completely the opposite.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel that like even thank God for Blender, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
if it weren't for that, I don't think a lot of even students starting out would be able to afford a lot of the software out there.
Yes.
Um, and so yeah, I think the Blender has absolutely helped the industry and the amount of things you can do with it, and it's always changing. So yeah, I think it's good to have those options. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I know that the software companies obviously need to make money,
Mm-hmm.
and so but it is a tough situation considering a lot of the students, need to use it, especially starting out. You know, like monthly subscription is I guess an option, but it ends up, being more expensive if you kind of prolong it year after year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, not to mention all the different software that you need. Not just the Adobe suite, but then all the other 3D packages if you're games artist. So it adds up.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I recall like I think graduated 2010. So it was like 2006 onwards. It was more like I was aware of like digital tools and then trying to find ways to get access to them. At that time, Autodesk were pretty decent with the student, the kind of thing they gave, like the licenses and stuff. Um, but the prices were super duper insane, and it was just almost like uh, at one point I was thinking, like, how the hell is someone supposed to afford this much just for one of the softwares that people want to use? And then when subscriptions kind of like, I think Octane were one of the first few who started giving like a, you can just pay monthly just to have access to it rather than pay all in one go. That was fun because that helped. Like, okay, I can afford at least that for a few months and cancel if I need to. Um, but then it kind of like went the other way where it all became just pure subscription. And there's very few that just let you buy things. And that alone can all add up and it can get a bit crazy. And then where the industry's been over the last few years, that can get a bit crazy sometimes. I think, okay, which subscriptions do I need to manage or not manage? But then also you mentioned about students there, like, yes, you got studios and professions that will have the budget to be able to support themselves and buy the tools because they account for that. But some of the biggest power users and ones that use things heavily are students or people who do things like as a hobbyist as well. So it does feel like they're kind of getting like neglected for whatever reason. Maybe it's like the business has to be subscription model now. But then, like you mentioned, not only in terms of what they offer, but the way they get funded, Blender's like a breath of fresh air. And it'd be interesting if either other competitors or these companies may end up adopting a Blender model for making money.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what the business model is for Blender, but I definitely see it as a good thing. And if other companies can adopt a similar model, and they, I guess they need to consider that if Blender is kind of taking the market share as well. So, it's kind of if you have like a software package that's like $1,000, $2,000 versus free, right? You kind
Yeah.
of have to rethink your business model. But at the same time, I don't know how Blender is staying afloat.
I, I
So,
think I think it's like Wikipedia, like they just rely on donations or they got I think the
mhm,
developer fund. So
yeah.
people can basically just like almost invent their own subscription and just support it. And in the UK, like I think all the major museums are free because I think the law says have to be free. But they've always got like the donation kind of like contactless things around, like just support a bit more if you want to.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like inverted essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Like, I just wish that all the other ones, even if it's subscription, it was just be be a lot lower so that everyone can use it. Like,
Yeah.
if that were the case, more people would probably adopt it, and maybe that could help revenues. I'm not sure, but yeah. But I mean, they know what they're doing. They've probably studied the right price point at this time, but it's still it's tough to swallow, especially with Adobe. There's so many good packages out there, and if you're using a few, it already adds up, right? So it's it's
Mm.
it's tough. Yeah.
Let's talk spaceships a little bit. Um, so September, there's a lot of spaceships featured on our page, and anything adjacent to it as well is also fun. What is your relationship, even just with the word spaceships?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've always loved designing spaceships as a kid, along with robots, and I guess they kind of go hand in hand with sci-fi.
Yeah.
Huge Star Wars geek, and just love everything about spaceships. And one thing I love about designing spaceships is there really aren't any rules. You can just have fun with shapes, and I think that's kind
Mm.
of why I love sci-fi design and hard surface design. Is just finding cool shapes. And I do yeah, like to design spaceships, just because I want the freedom to just play with shape design, and find ones that may not necessarily be familiar, and
Mm.
yeah, I think it's fun. It's a fun exercise that I like to do occasionally.
Do you have a favorite spaceship?
A favorite spaceship?
Yeah.
The Millennium Falcon is obviously a fan favorite. Yeah, I do I do like that. That's so iconic. Um, uh, just because of the shape itself is so unique.
Mm,
And I like it because it's different from the standard spaceship of maybe it's just like kind of like a jet fighter type of thing with like
yeah.
a thin
Yeah,
long
exactly.
nose type of thing. But yeah, I generally like ones that are just kind of a more unique shape. Something's a little different. So
Is did the asymmetry work for you initially? Because I remember as a kid, for me, it kind of like, I don't know why, but it threw me off a little bit because the X-wing and the TIE fighters, there's a bit of like sense of harmony because the vehicles that we see in our day to day, except like, specialist vehicles, it's all symmetrical. And
hmm
then there's got this thing which is a heroic ship that was a completely, against, at least in my head, against the rules. Like, did that? Did you notice that as well initially?
yeah, but I didn't mind. I didn't mind it so much. I mean, it didn't bother me as a kid. Yeah, I wasn't really that kind of bothered by it. I just thought it
Yeah.
was cool, this kind of flat saucer like thing.
Yes.
And one thing that appealed to me as a kid is just all the greebly stuff. It's all that
Mm.
detail was just so cool. Yeah.
What? Why do you think that was? Like, do you think it was more because it kind of felt like a toy, I guess, or was it just a visual interest of like all that noise on that this form?
Yeah, I think as a kid, I really was drawn to detail.
Mm.
Just the stuff and the fact that I knew that it was all handmade, like this was before CG,
Hmm.
and that's all the more impressive, I think. That it was just like all of these miniature little bits there, and yeah, I just thought it was yeah super cool.
Have you tried a bit of modeling yourself, like 3D modeling, real life?
No, I haven't. I didn't really get into it that much. I know, yeah, I see a lot of that on social media, and it's I've always wanted to, but I'm just too lazy with like digital tools these days. I'm just sticking with 3D and digital stuff. But yeah, I've been meaning to try that with my kids. Just like maybe grab
Mm.
some scraps, cardboard, and then just
Yeah.
get some glue and then start playing around with that. Um,
Um.
although
Actually, just
I
sorry.
did
Go ahead. Yeah.
play with Lego a lot as a kid.
Nice.
And I was aside from drawing Transformers, Lego was another thing that yeah I love doing. It's and I think you mentioned like some of the things that you've kind of stopped doing over the years.
Yeah.
Uh, I I can't remember the day where I stopped because I was playing with Lego as a kid like almost every day, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden I stopped, which now I'm just thinking, I should get back into it because it's just like you can just build like anything
Yeah.
in it. And there's these Lego is not for kids anymore, right? It's
Nope.
for adults too, right? It's
Yeah.
all these crazy things that these like even the technique Lego
Hmm.
with you can people creating engines and everything. It's getting yeah super complicated. Really um I think even they came up with a new product lately where you can add sound effects too with Lego
I
as
think I
well.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. How intense did it get for you, the Lego? Like, did you make crazy builds?
Yeah, I was into the Technic side of things,
Hmm.
so I really liked building the kind of moving parts and the little engines, pistons and everything. But yeah, I think somewhere in my early teens, I just gradually stopped playing with it. Yeah.
Mm. Did you kind of like make your own things, or did you tend to follow whatever that kit was?
I would probably just buy I build the kit first, and then after that I would actually have more fun building my own stuff.
Mm.
And that's what I because my kids are starting to play with Lego now, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I tell them, look, the fun is not building what's on the box. It's actually building your own stuff, right? Like use your
Yes.
imagination, and that's where the fun is. But I'm struggling now to get them to,
Fair enough. No,
yeah,
struggle's real. It's the same. Like, my initial kind of like default setting is like ignore whatever the packet says, whatever the pieces are, just try and just make your own thing, right? There's more joy in that. But
yeah,
both of my kids are very adamant that they want to replicate whatever's on that thing first, and
yeah,
then they just walk off.
yeah,
So I'm in the same boat as you, and hopefully we can get them to like make their own things and stuff.
yeah.
Um, just as a parent, I know we mentioned like parenting life last time as well. How do you see? Obviously, we're much older now versus when we were kids. They're kids now. Do you feel like the way play and creativity is the same? If that makes sense compared to what you had.
Yeah, I think of that where the fact that we didn't have as many choices when we were growing up, I think helped with potentially the imagination side of things.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that because now they have just like Netflix, all these choices. I wonder if they're not using their imagination enough.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, who knows? Because yeah, we had limited amount of cartoons and toys. But now I feel like they're kind of bombarded with all this stuff. Maybe yeah, maybe it's better to just limit them. And just say, hey, you're gonna sit in this empty room, and here's some
Yes.
cardboard, some tape, and that's it. That's all you get today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's definitely some fully agree, and same kind of like thoughts and questions, like because as a parent it's always a case of like, is this the right thing, is this the best option, all that kind of stuff. But like you said, when we were kids, it was all just free play, let me just consume anything that's put in front of me. But when you mentioned before about like not having time to experiment, that just kind of reminded me what you just mentioned. Like as a kid, you you had to kind of like keep up with when things were presented to you. And if it wasn't there, then you missed it, like a show, for example, or a movie that would come on, or all that kind of stuff. Like access to everything was just not a thing. And now that's like the norm now. Um, but then there is something where because you don't have time to experiment, like I guess obviously it's all about balance and stuff, but it kind of puts you in this nice zone where you are super efficient and just get stuff done. But then at the same time, like then you kind of like get that feeling of like, but I want to kind of do this, and there's a constant battle and stuff. But yeah, it's just fascinating. And I remember like I don't know if it's the same for yourself, but growing up, it was a case of like you always hear your parents and the older generation always talking about what things were like back in their day and what kind of struggles they had or didn't have access to. And now I've become that person. Like, you know, no internet, analog era versus digital era versus just on demand versus what it is now, which is not even a buffering circle anymore. Like everything's just constantly instant. And yeah, it's just a fascinating topic and stuff. And
Yeah, I
I'm
think
just curious about
we're
your experiences.
yeah, I mean, like we're definitely hitting that point. Imagine even with the advent of AI, and for me, I'm having a hard time keeping up or even imagining that future. So I'm
Hmm.
already that old guy where I can't keep up with the new technologies, right? And
Yeah.
so when my kids grow up, yeah, I'm definitely the guy that is stubborn and unwilling
Yeah.
to change and yeah, who knows, right? It's that time where things are kind of advancing so fast that we're living in a we're there's that tipping point where there's that new generation now, and
Hmm.
we're kind of like that old generation, and who knows, like even using like 3D software, using that's like old technology, right? Like drawing, even digital
Yeah, yeah,
painting is old technology now, right? When you can just write a prompt, right? It's
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Imagine like 3D software is like the mini disc of listening to personal audio. Like you had cassettes, well, vinyls, cassettes, they were a big period. Then you had CDs, which had their moment, then mini discs, and then all of a sudden it became streaming. Like mini discs didn't even have a chance to kind of like breathe before they got eliminated.
Hmm.
Um, but for yourself, like, do you see the advancement? Because I'm having the same kind of like experiences. Can't keep up, and the stubbornness is definitely there. Do you feel FOMO from it, or do you feel like I don't care? I'm just going to stick with what I know.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of both where,
Mm,
I don't want to fall behind, right? Like
mm,
if we're talking about our careers, it's really important to keep in line with the latest technologies and what's being used, being aware of it.
mm,
And yeah, right now I'm just learning it, or at least using it so that I'm aware of the latest technology. But it is really hard to keep up because it's just getting
mm,
better every day. And there's this kind of not wanting to believe that that's going to be the new reality because
mm,
it is an unsettling feeling, right?
mm-hmm,
And yeah, a lot of us we don't know what if we're trying to imagine what the future is with all this AI tech, where we're not using our skills in that we've kind of practiced our lives with,
yeah.
since we're kids, right? Like drawing skills, 3D modeling, animating. The fact that you may not need to do that at one point is unsettling. It's
Mm,
um and what does that future look like, right? It's even if you are like, because there's people that are saying that AI is just another tool, and everything's gonna be fine. And so they're using the AI, they're doing maybe paint overs of what the AI spits out,
yep.
and then doing a revision off of that. So maybe that's the new process. But is that even at that point, is that even a skill, right? Like it's like how much of the work do you need, right? And in the future, maybe you don't even need to do that. You just tell the prompt, like you're the director, and you're just telling the AI what you want as the director, right? It's not
Mm.
really any kind of artistic skill involved with that. So it's yeah, it's hard to imagine.
That fully agree, and some great points there. And it kind of just occurred to me now, like you mentioned, obviously now this kind of like new thing that's coming, and that uncertainty around it, and almost like that feeling of, is this a positive thing? Is this valuable? Like, am I supposed to enjoy this? Am I not supposed to enjoy this? Like, a lot of question marks, right? But we mentioned obviously throughout this episode so far, like we've lived through stages where we went for those advancements from, VHS to digital, or kind of in between, the birth of like games, and before they became, mass produced, and then internet, social media, all that kind of good stuff. I don't know what it's like for you, but did you ever have the same feeling for any of those? Because for me, it kind of felt like every new thing felt like an upgrade. Felt like, oh, this is exciting. This is kind of like an improvement to what we had before. And now for the first time, I'm obviously there's a lot of stuff that I thought that's not going to work, but it's normally like very specific things in like a new kind of like improvement. Um, but yeah, this is the first time I'm thinking like, yeah, not positive at all, and not in like a dread way, just like just not excited by it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is the first time. Like everything before that, with the invention of a computer, digital painting, all
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
it has always been a tool, and it has never replaced the person behind it, and the skills necessary for doing this, right? And with AI, that is a totally different thing now, where it can completely replace the person, the artist. And there's also the moral and ethical issues behind it too, right? That it is actually stealing the work of artists
Hmm.
in order to train those models. And so there's the problem around that, and also the whole kind of cycle of things is just broken, and no
Mm,
one's
mm.
do anything about it, right? What happens when everyone's out of jobs, and no one's able to pay for these AI tools, right? It's no one's putting any kind of regulation around that. So yeah, this AI thing is a new and unsettling. So I'm still, yeah, struggling with the idea of the future of that,
Uh-huh. Fair
as
enough.
I'm sure most of us are. So
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Let's talk about something a bit more positive and something that's a bit more exciting, or a
yeah.
lot more exciting in this case. Um, Aftermarket. So last time I spoke to you on the Learn Squared podcast, you mentioned, and I always remember that episode, and I use it a lot for inspiration, especially with your journey and basically this IP that you built. And I remember you specifically saying that because you did everything by yourself, like you intentionally did that just to see what it was like. But just for people who are joining and not familiar, what is aftermarket?
Aftermarket is my own personal project. It's a sci-fi, cyberpunk kind of universe that I created around these mechs, and it was just started out as just me just drawing what I enjoyed drawing on my spare time outside of my day job, and it kind of evolved into kind of a larger project that I wanted to self-publish. So the aftermarket is currently an art book of just all the sci-fi cyberpunk stuff that I enjoyed doing over the years, and put it into to one book. And I plan on developing it further into a story, potentially a video game, but it's just something that allows me to do stuff that's my own, and that I kind of enjoy doing outside of my work obligations. Yeah, and it's still ongoing, and currently it's all kind of like 2D mech designs, hard surface designs, but I'm kind of trying to translate that into 3D and making it animate and move and all that. So
How long has that been alive now?
well, the book project itself took roughly 7 to 8 years. And then since the book has been published, I've been slowly kind of working on yeah, some ideas for a comic book and a video game as well. So it's tough because juggling, like work obligations as well, and the
Mm.
family stuff. It's it's ongoing. So, but I'm having fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun journey. So
Has it obviously with anything, I mean, as a parent, I guess it's very similar to bringing raising a child. Like it's got its own needs, it's got its own life, it's got its own pathway to kind of like be what it needs to be. What's your relationship with it now? Like, is it still like, has it changed much? Has it evolved over the years?
yeah, yeah. I mean, after the book, like I mentioned, it was all 2D, but I do want to kind of see how it evolves in terms of like seeing it in 3D. So that's kind of like a conscious effort to maybe not stick with just 2D for the aftermarket, since
Hmm.
we've already seen a lot of the kind of like 2D pieces. So yeah, I guess I want to intentionally just yeah, build it in 3D and see that aspect of things, as well as the worlds as well. So I'm thinking about the environments and having fun with the architecture side of things, which
Uh-huh.
I've been it's something I have a passion for as well, aside from the mech design. So yeah, really just trying to push that aspect of things, like world building.
And how like did you ever at any point get to a stage where it felt like a burden? Like I can't believe I'm doing this. Like it's too much, or has it been pure bliss?
Yeah, I think I don't ever want it to be a burden.
Okay.
And I still want to make sure I'm having fun, because in the end, what's the point, right? It's
Yes.
and so being able to create an IP out of it, I think is kind of like a goal. But I'm not really kind of setting like oh, if I don't hit this goal, then it's like I'm gonna be so upset, right? Like I'm
Yes,
just
yes, yes,
trying
yes.
to kind of keep it fun and just learning as much as I can during the journey. So it's
Huh?
yeah.
Because the reason why I ask is because you do it all by yourself, so that's already a big undertaking. Like with the clients and everything else, like the worlds that you've worked for and the IPs that you've worked for and a lot of artists work for, they're huge teams, big budgets, and there are a lot of people working on a lot of moving pieces just to get things onto the screen or onto the consoles. Yeah, you're doing it pretty much by yourself. And I think with a lot of artists, especially those that I guess more seasoned or have been doing this for a while, I guess with the state of the industry right now, with layoffs, for example, a lot of people asking questions, or what else can I offer? And one of the answers is, well, I have this idea in my head and I can bring it to life. But obviously, as soon as you start that, it's, as you know, like it's not easy, and it's always going to be a challenge, and it's always going to require a lot of work. So how do you manage to kind of like keep that all going whilst doing it pretty much all by yourself?
Yeah, I guess you can imagine it's kind of like your baby, right? So you're kind of
Mhm.
trying to kind of nurture it. And so I'm I'm still not at that point where like I enjoy the fact that it's my own and I have the freedom to just develop it. I think that's what's fun about it. I think
Nice.
if it were to kind of branch off into a larger team, then it would be a different kind of experience. But
Hmm.
as of now, it's still kind of like still my baby kind of thing, and I'm just having fun, just thinking of ideas and nurturing it that way, right, and making it grow slowly. So it's but yeah, definitely once it passes a stage of development, then it would probably need to I'd probably have to hand it off to a larger team to you know let it let
Yeah.
it grow into an adult and leave let it live on its own kind of thing, right? It's um yeah, but yeah, baby steps. I think at some point I
Nice.
think that would happen once it gets
And this
further
is
along.
a very abstract question, but how much of this project is you in this?
It's a lot of just what I what inspired me as a kid. So a lot of
Mm.
the cartoons, Transformers. I think it's a blend of inspirations, and so uh, it's it's a lot. And I think I consciously am aware of not copying a lot of the artists that I'd admired, but hopefully it's maybe just a blend of inspirations that that hopefully it translates into something a little unique. But yeah, it's a lot of my passions in graphic design, in industrial design, and just kind of trying to meld them together. I love playing with color as well, and that's why you'll see that a lot of the pieces are just kind of color experiments, right? Like just playing with
Mm.
different color palettes and seeing how they look. And yeah.
That is one of the joys of your work. Like it is just seeing all that we just said, like how you exploit and play with shapes and color and all these different kind of like disciplines, and you do it so successfully and consistently, which is like that's like a different kind of like, I don't know if it's a skill set or just a form of maturity, but consistency is super hard, like to maintain, and not in the sense of like just copy and paste, like everything's still unique but still consistent. Like that's excellent, and I always like look at you as an example of that. But it also gives us a nice segue into, I guess, our first segment, dropship. Any one of your designs that you've done for aftermarket, although it's obviously for the aftermarket universe, which of those would you or could you comfortably see in an existing IP or a different universe?
Yeah, I could show you one of the pieces I think could fit well into one of my favorite movies, Fifth Element. I don't know
Oh,
if you've seen that movie,
us,
but it's
excellent.
it's the one with Will Smith and Mia Jovovich, I think her name
No, no,
was.
Bruce Willis.
Oh, sorry, Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
who did I say?
Will Smith.
Oh, Will. No, no, not him. No. Yeah, Bruce Willis. Sorry. But I just love the creativity in that movie. Just it's really campy in a lot of ways. But I thought this I could share my screen, I guess.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the piece. So this is kind of like a police flying ship. And you can imagine if you've seen the movie, just the city where it's not just the roads going horizontally, right? Like traffic is going vertically in all
Yes.
directions. And so if you imagine that scene, I just imagine that maybe this one could fit into that world where this police ship could fly in all directions. And I just like the that it's different from your kind of standard horizontal kind of
Mm-hmm.
layout design. So you can imagine that maybe this officer could kind of station itself in this little cockpit here. It originated from this guy here. This is
Ah.
kind of like how it kind of evolved here. Um, but in creating the kind of like thinking about the universe of aftermarket, I decided that it would fit well with as a police kind of
Mm.
vehicle as well. So, and this was one of my previous kind of police mechs. So I was really thinking about keeping in line with the colors and the themes. Obviously, it's standard police kind of colors, but yeah, keeping it kind of familiar in that way.
Would the mech actually pilot this? Or is that just more like part of the same kind of like family?
Yeah, yeah. So you can imagine that these kind of humanoid mechs are called cores, and so they
Mm-hmm.
would be very the most similar to a kind of like human proportions. And so the idea of aftermarket is that these uh the humans have been able to upload their souls essentially into these kind of synthetic bodies so that they don't have to rely on human bodies. So essentially, kind of being able to survive in not just Earth but other planets without any kind of oxygen required. So, and the idea is that you can upload kind of similar to like Ghost in the Shell
Mm-hmm.
or altered carbon kind of idea where you can upload. And if you want to traverse into more kind of dangerous territories, you can also upload into a heavy, which is a lot of the kind of larger non-humanoid mechs. But yeah, this one would sit in one of these this cockpit here.
Excellent.
Um, but yeah, I think I usually just kind of block things out here in Photoshop like this, just
Mm.
very basic kind of shapes. And I would use this kind of adjustment layers to kind of get the different effects, um, color grading and all that. So
Mm. So
yeah.
when you came up with this, like obviously you're thinking of the universe, you already kind of have like a picture of what it should be and I guess like a feel for that kind of space. Were there any was there any additional like kind of research or references you looked at, or was it more just your image and your vision for aftermarket, and that's what your jumping point was?
Um, yeah, a lot of these, I would say each image is its own kind of like fun little project where I
Ah,
just try to have fun with a cool design. And so I don't really, aside from looking at kind of inspirational reference material that, I would find online, um, it really is about just playing with shapes. And so I don't, when I started this, I didn't necessarily have a specific shape in mind. I think I intentionally wanted to keep it vertical, but
Hmm.
aside from that, I didn't really have any kind of pre-existing kind of idea of what this could exist, how this could exist. So it's really about maybe playing with shapes. You can see here, like there just a lot of scribbles, right? And this is me
Yeah.
just playing with all over the place. It gets really messy here too. Like it's just a lot of his scribbles, and over time, I would just kind of refine it to really find shapes and volume and just kind of go with it. And so here, I think I wanted to, these shapes on the side were becoming more prominent, so this became more of the overall kind of design in the end. So
Mm.
I kind of cleaned this area up to really push this shape here. And then yeah, just refining as I went. Knowing at this point that it was going to be a vertical flying ship and all that comes with that. So thrusters in the back here,
Yes.
and then just leaving a spot for the cockpit kind of idea. So um,
So even though obviously these are like very, I guess you could call like very exotic kind of like design solutions, especially mainly like more meditation shapes. Do you find yourself always constantly thinking more on the technical side of like this is how the thing would function and how it would potentially move if it were to exist in real life?
not so much. I think for
Mm.
me, it's really about the design. Obviously, I do consider how, the practical aspect of things of how it work, but not to the extent that maybe some people would like a lot of like when I post in social media, I sometimes I can tell some people are getting like maybe they're engineers or something and they get really technical. It's like, well, this wouldn't function because of this angle and it's missing this piece and blah blah blah, right? And and so I don't really get too deep in the functional aspect of things. It implies the idea that it's functional, and obviously I do make sure that it is believable in to some degree, but I think in the end, like I'm thinking as a concept artist as it would be in a video game or film, not as like
Mm.
a real vehicle. So there's some leeway there, right? It's
Mm.
really about the visual impression rather than the, how it actually would be built in real life kind of thing. So
And is all of the aftermarket stuff that you've designed and created so far, does it all follow the same kind of like process?
For the most part, I mean, I think it's really about, again, we mentioned about just keeping making sure it's fun and fresh. So I always don't like I make sure I'm having fun in every piece. And so uh and I'm just kind of going with it. If I feel like it's going somewhere, then I'm starting to have fun, right? No, I'm getting into the groove and just I go with the flow. And a lot of these pieces have kind of ended up like that too. I can show you some of these other ones. So yeah, and sometimes I would do it all in Photoshop, but then other times I would start in Procreate as
Mm.
a sketch. So this piece, oh, these are kind of experiments on
Ah.
this. So yeah, so it would start out with a sketch in Procreate, something like this, and no fancy brushes or anything, just playing around with the design, and then I would and this is kind of the evolution that it took. So just flat color, and then just some highlight colors, and then slowly kind of cleaning things up. Um, I like to do a lot of these kind of like cargo container ships.
Mm-hmm.
Something about these that I enjoy because of the industrial and kind of like the weathering and the griminess of industrial
Yes.
kind of cargo shipping vessels. So yeah, so these are just gradual kind of progressions.
when
Let
do
me
you
see.
start thinking of color? Like, when does color become? 'Cause obviously, like, you can always like throw it in there and then just work around it. But when does it become like a feature that you start meditating on more?
Um, well, for this one in particular, I think I just thought this felt like the a lot of the industrial vehicles, they have this kind of color, either this or the kind of like caterpillar yellow
Mm,
type of feeling, but I felt like this uh color was very kind of, not, I wouldn't say rusty, but like still within that range where it feels kind of this not super clean or sleek kind of vessel, but really industrial feeling. So I just kind of went with it. Um, but that's part of the fun of doing the color stage, where you do get to kind of experiment with this, and just kind of use this, and just you can play around with the ranges. There's like, where am I? Oh yeah, here. And so yeah, you can just totally
mm.
you know play around with this to your heart's content. So it's and then there's this guy here. So as you can see here, this one is, yeah, again, the cargo container ship is just the fun thing. One thing I like about cargo ships is just that there's a utility to it, right? There's the purpose to the ship,
Yes.
and you can play around with the functionality of how it kind of carries these cargo containers. So it gives it purpose. And this one is less industrial and a little bit more like curvature, but it's,
Mm.
for me, it's really about finding cool designs or cool shapes to play with. This may not be a believable kind of industrial shipping vessel, but I had fun with the shapes. That's
So cool.
um yeah. And then this one here, this one again, like, I do love the industrial aesthetic, meaning just like nuts and bolts, and
Mm-hmm.
just getting really into the details of all these kind of pieces, um and seeing how the shapes kind of play with each other. So I really had fun with this one too.
Do you find
Um
they all take the same amount of time to make?
no, no, actually, depending on what I'm designing, sometimes I'll be struggling for a while doing this. So I usually keep a record of my progression. So I like to take a
Ah,
kind of like a screen capture of this,
I
to
see.
just kind of log my progress. And so this is how it started off. Um and in speaking of color, I like to grab color palettes from, I think it's called Color, Kuler. It was one
Rings
of
a bell.
Adobe's, I think,
Yeah.
websites. I don't know if it has changed since. I haven't been on the website for a while, but
Okay.
there's it's just like a color palette website. Um, and so I would use that as a starting point to maybe give me ideas for color palettes. But you can see how it started out, this again very loose in some areas, like this is like scribbles literally here. And then you can see it kind of evolve. Yeah. And so the progression here, I think initially, if you look back here, the shapes were not as prominent. So I
Mm.
decided to bulk up these kind of canister feeling thrusters, the overall shape, and make it a little more pronounced. Uh, yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. Brian, thanks so much for sharing all of those, and absolute feast for the eyes. How much and anything else we can expect from aftermarket on the horizon or soon?
I'm still working on just yeah, the backstory of things, creating, fleshing out the universe. So nothing really to announce right now, but
Cool.
hopefully in the near future, I will be able to announce something.
Excellent. Brian, I could chat to you all day, but sadly it's time to wrap up. Before we head off, any final thoughts or words from yourself to the listeners?
No, I think just kind of working away, and thanks for having me as usual. It
Of
was
course.
always a pleasure to chat with you, and hopefully, if we chat again, things will be evolving to some new and exciting things in the horizon.
Perfect. Brian, thanks so much, mate.
Thanks.